Hello crafty friends, it's Heather Rui here for Reverse Confetti. I am so excited to give you a close-up look at the March 2022 release. Let's jump right in with the stamp sets from this release. The first two I'm going to start with is the Better with Friends stamp set on my left and the Picnic Pals on my right. Before I get into more detail, I wanted to mention you'll see on a lot of my sets that the stamps are not actually in the stamp set. I did this because after working with them, it's really hard to get them lined up perfectly to show you on camera to get a really good image. So I just wanted to mention that's why you don't see those in there. So the first stamp set is the Better with Friends. I absolutely love the little bunny images and the kite. It also comes with some great sentiments like keep it up, you mean so much to me, and life's better with friends. On the second stamp set, the Picnic Pal stamp set, we have cute little bunnies having a picnic with their picnic basket, and we have some other coordinating images to create a scene. There's also some sentiments like hi friend and let's do lunch. So I decided to pair these up together. Like I mentioned, I think they work really well together, and I created this slimline card. Oh, and both of these stamp sets have coordinating dies. So I went ahead and stamped those images, colored them, cut them out, and created this slimline card. I just put them on an alcohol inked background. I did some blue for the sky, green for the grass, and like I said, they pair up so nicely together. On the inside, I used some leftover images from that same stamp set, and I also used this Hello Spring sentiment, and that comes from the next stamp set called Springtime Sentiments. I really like this stamp set. I like that it doesn't have just Easter sentiments, but also spring sentiments, as you can see in this example. This is a smaller stamp set. This is a 4x4. Moving on, we have the Friendly Floral stamp set. It has some great floral images, and this stamp set also has coordinating dies. I used this stamp set on the corners of this card. I just stamped it tone on tone on the bottom left corner and the top right corner. So the next stamp set is the Sending Smiles stamp set. I love this one because it's such an easy layering set. Sometimes I have trouble with layering sets, and this one is so easy to put together. I also like that you can use the images alone or together. So for my card, I went ahead and stamped the flowers. I did the outline of the flowers, the inner solid portion to color them in, and then the details that are on the petals. I used all three layers for the leaves as well. And I did not stamp the center of the flowers. I used an embellishment instead. They also come with some sentiments. Thank you, you are so kind, and sending smiles. I used the thank you, and it's intended to be a horizontal sentiment. I cut it in half and used it vertically to kind of fit in the space that I needed. So don't be afraid to cut your stamps apart and use them how you want. And I also used a little bee image. That was from the Better with Friends stamp set that I showed you in the beginning. And then you can see these circle clusters to kind of finish off the design. I used the next stamp set, which is called Dot to Dot. This stamp set is a smaller stamp set. It's 4x4. I think it would be great to build a background with this one or just add details like I did on this card. And this stamp set is the free with purchase stamp set for this release. Go to ReverseConfetti.com for all the details on that. If you hit a certain price point, you will get this stamp set for free, but just remember that has to be added to your cart for you to receive it. So again, just check out the website for all the details. All right, that wraps up all the stamp sets. We are now going to move on to the dies. So the first die set is called Easter Cover Panel. And it has this great scalloped rectangle die, Happy Easter, a couple of eggs, some flowers, and also this silhouette image where the eggs can be placed in with the flowers. So on this card, I used it for the actual card base. I used the scalloped rectangle. I cut it twice from craft cardstock. I scored the top of the back one, added some adhesive on top, and then created a card base with that. And for the inside of the card, I used the small and large flowers. I die cut those just to tie everything together, and I used a small dot from the dot to dot stamp set for the center of the flowers. So for my next example, I used the silhouette image that I mentioned before. This is intended, these little cutouts on the sides are intended for the flowers, but I just cut them from green to resemble grass. I cut the large and small egg dies, placed them on top, and the You're a Good Egg sentiment is from this Springtime Sentiment stamp set. For the background of this die, I used the next die, which is called Eggstra Cover Panel. This one is great. It does some stitching along the outer edge as well as all of these eggs in the center. And instead of die cutting this on this panel, I actually put it in my die cutting machine with an embossing mat. And what that does is it just makes an impression of the die instead of cutting it. And it worked well with this design because it kind of gives a dome shape to the eggs. I also used it on my next card example. This one, Life's Better with Friends, and instead of using it with my embossing mat, I actually cut it. And I just inlaid the eggs back inside, and I cut it from a watercolor panel. The rest of the card, the Life's Better with Friends, and also the bunny images, that is from the Better with Friends stamp set that I showed you earlier. And those little critters are standing on the next die, which is the egg carton die. I cut this die from craft cardstock and then added the eggs inside, which I colored with Copic markers. What I love about this die is that it cuts little slits so you can slip the eggs inside. Here's a closer look. Okay, moving on, we have the layered Mom with Frame die set. This cuts a nice frame with stitching detail as well as the Mom word die and the shadow die. So I created this card and cut the frame out of blue cardstock. And then I also added the floral from the Friendly Floral stamp set. I just stamped that tone on tone and used the coordinating dies to cut that out. The next die I want to talk about is the Big Egg die. I love this die. This cuts a large solid egg and also a smaller egg that has slits in it. So I cut it from the front of an A2 size card to create a window, and on the inside I used that larger egg die and cut it from a watercolor panel. I finished off this card with the Happy Easter sentiment that I showed you earlier in the Easter cover panel. Okay, so the last product in this release is called the Big Sun die. I love the size of this die. This actually comes with two dies. I kept mine together, but it comes with the large sun and also the circle in the center. I kept it together so the circle would cut out in the center, and I used it to make a shaker card. I finished this card up with the Sending Smiles sentiment, and that one was from the Sending Smiles stamp set that I showed you earlier. Alright, that wraps up the review of the new release. You can find links to all of these products in the description below. I would love to hear your favorite products from this release, so please leave a comment, and thank you so much for watching. Have a great day!